This is Kitten Features, and you're listening to Show X Live with Ken in his student accommodation all the way in Scotland, and Wade in his white windowless van? Uh-oh, I better get out of here. Enjoy the show!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Show X on VTWProductions.com. You're listening live at 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. GMT on this Sunday, the 8th of July, 2018. Welcome, everybody, and hey, Ken, how are you doing today?
Hello, this is going to be a test of me finding out how good I am at pressing push to talk, because we're trying something new today. So.
Telling you. Well, we'll see. Like I said, I'm telling you just got to set your sensitivity to just the right special place, and it works perfectly. I live by that. I hate push to talk because whenever I start getting emphatic about something, I forget completely, and therefore do not push, and even when I'm talking. And so I'm so bad about that.
Yeah, but it's also this bad boy. I've got a fan on due to the being the hottest summer in Scotland for decades. So I'm always worried that the fan is going to be annoying if I'm not talking.
So the fan I never hear through the gate that's there for the noise gate, at least in Discord. It's only the clicking of the typing. And so it's just finding a point just above your average typing and just below where your speech starts. And then it'll be perfect. And we'll never have to worry about it. So I'm telling you, just find that point. But so yes, welcome. We are kicking in today, and go ahead and start off right away with a little bit of, and hopefully I'll get these to work correct today, and stop them when I'm supposed to. And so we'll start out with a little bit of
dysfunctional deviations.
Perfect, or close enough. Hopefully that played through for everyone and worked out as we kick in here. Say, how are you doing today, Ken? What have you been up to this week that has not been geek? And you're now not pushing and talking, and I can't hear you.
Straight away. It's because I was typing at the same time, and so I didn't think about doing it. Because normally I can multitask that way, but I can't apparently multitask with typing, talking, and pressing the button.
I told you. You got to set up the perfect auto, because you just put a noise gate on there, and it'll be fine.
Okay. It's the voice gate's on. I'm now trying. Okay, tell me if I stop, if you can't hear me at any point or anything, if I'm cutting off too early or anything.
Right now, you sound fine.
So, there's a couple of things I want to talk about that are quite off topic from what we've normally done. I like the fact that our show is kind of we have the ability to, we have a dysfunctional deviation section, right? So we can literally talk about pretty much what we feel like.
Yes.
And this is me trying something that I believe in, but don't normally do myself. There's a few things I have like this within my personality where, for example, I believe in the Free the Nipple campaign, right? And yet, I hate the idea of anybody I knowing ever taking part in the Free the Nipple campaign, right? I don't want any of my friends or family.
You don't want to see your mom walking around topless?
I don't want to see my wife doing that in public. I don't want to see my mom, my gran, my aunties, anybody I know, really. To be honest, I'd rather. I'm happy with random people doing it, and I support that everybody should be able to do it. But yeah, I also have that part of me that's like, no, I don't think we should. Even though that's just, I know that that's just a social thing that's been bred into me, right? And I think it's wrong. So I do think we should free the nipple, etc. Anyway, that's a side argument, right? I wanted to bring up one of these similar things that I believe in but struggle to do myself is talking about mental health.
Okay.
So,
what do you specifically mean, other than just in general talking about it?
I'm talking about our own mental health. So I'm like, if somebody says to me that they have depression, I would always say to them, like, oh, you know what? I'm there for you, buddy. I'll happily talk to you. And I really do mean that. And I mean that thoroughly whenever somebody tells me these sort of things. I'm like, you know what? If you need somebody to talk to, I'm here. I think you should seek professional help because nobody should feel bad about seeing a therapist, etc. But when it comes to my own mental health, I'm very much I'll bury that deep. Let's not worry about that. That's the kind of attitude I have with my own personal mental health, which is really opposites, right? Is juxtaposition in mindset, which is just wrong. And my mental health, to be fair, in pretty much my entire life that I can remember, has been very healthy, right? I don't think I have any major issues that I feel like I need to see a professional about, or I need to talk to friends and family to get help with, right? I genuinely feel that my mental health is really quite secure. which is, I think, is particularly good considering I have a very stressful job, in my opinion. And so, you know, the fact that I think my mental health is generally very good is surprising to myself. To be honest, I feel like if anything, I'm in a position where if I had poor mental health, it would be somewhat expected. However, over my entire life, my mental health's been pretty good until this past week. I experienced something I have never experienced before, and I have decided I need to go and see somebody about it.
Oh, okay.
So it was actually Independence Day in the US.
Okay.
And Kitten and I decided to do a little bit of celebrating in the house because I always feel bad for her, you know, being in the UK and not being able to celebrate her traditional celebrations.
Yeah, not being amongst everyone else with the fireworks and everything that we do on our side.
Absolutely. And so I always feel bad for her, and so we always try to do something. It kind of, I think it more than anything probably just makes her homesick, right? But I still feel like it's an important thing to do. So we had a barbecue out. We didn't get any fireworks, sadly. We couldn't get any. They don't really sell them because, you know, it's not holiday. They don't plan for that. And we were having fun. It was all fine. We were cooking some burgers or whatever, and all was good. And then at some point, Kitten says to me, so what do you want to eat? And I'm sitting there, and I was thinking, oh, I don't know. Like, I know I picked up some salmon, I picked up some burgers, I picked up some other tasty food that I like, that I chose, and it's food for me that I chose, right? Stuff that I like. And for some reason, I don't know what it was. I really do feel like it was just a sudden chemical imbalance, maybe due to my diet or something. I have no idea. But my brain just said, I don't want anything. But not even in reference to the food per se. I suppose it was initially, but then it sort of just said, "What do I want at all?" And it went blank. And I was like, "What am I feeling?" And it went blank. And I suddenly just felt the need to just lie down on the floor and not do anything. Like, I literally didn't even want to engage in conversation. I didn't want to clap my dog. I didn't want to eat food. I didn't want to exist for a little while. Now, I wasn't feeling depressed. I didn't feel sad. I didn't feel down. I didn't feel like, oh, I hate my life or anything. Like, it wasn't like a sadness, right? It really, truly was not a sadness.
Okay.
It was a nothingness, an emptiness. And I don't know where it came from. I can only assume it is some kind of a chemical imbalance or something. But Kitten got, you know, understandably very worried about me. Like, how it played out was she said, so what do you want? And I said, and I struggled to even respond. And she said, are you okay? And I was like, eventually I responded with physically yes. And she said, well, are you okay? Are you feeling all right? Do you need to go to the hospital? And I was like, I was really I couldn't even garner the emotional, I don't know, urge to respond to my wife in that situation. I didn't want to do anything. I barely wanted to exist. And she said, do you need to go to bed or something? Do you want to go lie down? Do you like what's going on? And I sort of nodded, and she took me to bed and just laid me down, and I just fell asleep after like about an hour of lying there doing nothing. It was the strangest situation. I've never experienced anything like that before. Gotcha. And so after lying down for a little while, everything was fine. I got up and was happy and absolutely fine, honestly. But for some reason, I just had a mental lapse.
I was gonna say that's yeah. It sounds like just either a mental exhaustion or something like that, where I would say is not as odd as you may think. Because I've had moments where I've just been stuck, unsure of kind of what I wanted to do or what I was doing or anything, and just kind of that sense of like, I'm just kind of here, and I don't know what to do next. And I've had actually recently struggle where it was even just trying to figure out, do I want to go to bed? Do I want to read? Do I want to watch TV? Like, and nothing coming to mind, where I had lost track of what I was doing. And I can't say there was a specific answer for it other than eventually I did something. And so yeah, I get where you're coming from, because that's pretty much what it was. It was I don't know what I want, and to be honest, all I actually think I wanted was to not exist for a little while. That's why bed was a logical thing. So
I needed some time to pass.
Yeah.
Because right there and then, I just didn't want to be. And it's not like I wanted to die or anything.
Yeah.
Right? It really wasn't depression. In fact, I look forward to future life. I was just right there and then, I just did not want to be.
Well, and that's kind of where I agree with that. Sleeping can be a good answer for that. A nap, it could be meditation, right? Just kind of sitting alone for a little bit, not working on anything, not focusing on anything. And it's kind of like Hando said, it could just be needing some downtime. You know, I have found...
Maybe.
Well, because like for me personally, and it's been hard for me to get really accurate with it because my household is so full of late. I realized some of my old pattern had been come home, just play some video games, just maybe sit on the couch, just do some things that are just me and no one else even around me. And there were things about that allowed my mind to reset in a way or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's hard to capture like exactly what was going on, but there have been moments where I realized I was just full and I needed to just not for a while. Because I'm so busy, I'm so constantly doing things and such. So
I think that comes partly from at least somewhat introverted life personality, I suppose, where we are. I think generally any video game player and kind of goes towards video games because it gives you that feeling of solitude and being able to just be by yourself for a little while. I think we both sort of fall towards that.
So no, I can understand, but
so I think that I think that it was just a momentary lapse, and I don't know if it was a mix of stress or whatever it was. I really don't know. I really have no idea where it came from. I think like you said, I don't think it is that crazy a thing. The reason it feels crazy for me is because I've never experienced it. Right?
Yeah,
I've never had anything like that before, where I've been like, what? I just don't want to. Is the answer to everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Just never had that before. So yeah, I've decided that me and Ken talked about it. It really worried Ken because she'd never experienced anything like it before with me. Because I really haven't had any problems like that ever before. And so it really kind of, when the first time anything happens, if first time anybody has any weird symptom, it is particularly worrying.
Yeah, and it's big deal, like you said, when you're just not used to it and you don't know exactly what to do next with it. That's a challenge. And I know for me, one of the problems I've had, because I've been just suffering a lot of just mood and things over time, but especially when I'm so used to having to always be the rock for so many people and so many situations, that when it feels like I'm not able to fulfill that role, it can be really odd. And I don't.
That hits really hard. That hits home really well with me. I totally get that.
Yeah, right. Because I'm usually the one who can and does, and I still have it. And what's really odd is, in a crisis, I will, and I don't break down. It's more weird that I may lock up or break down when there's not a crisis, when it's just like nothing major happening. That's when it more likely rears its head. Because
that's traditional military mind right there, right?
Well, you deal with whatever's happening at that moment, and you just do it, and that's what has to happen, and so it's just done. And it's kind of, an example, and this is kind of breaking into mine, is that yesterday, I went to an event that some friends put together to celebrate what would be in a couple days, or gosh, tomorrow now, my friend DJ Bullock, Dr. Genkadesho, Ben Bullock's 40th birthday, but he passed away last year. And so we got together and celebrated it and celebrated him. And for the most part, it was just a fun time seeing friends, but there was a moment at a point there where, memories started coming out and people started sharing. And it was, understandably rough. Tears and things around and stuff like that. And not like the whole group in one big thing, but little groups together talking. And for me, it was after a lot of that outcry of kind of emotion where I got in the car, I was starting to head home because I had some other things to do. But then that drive home by myself, after having kind of that well of emotion brought up, had some moments, right, where it was just kind of like, where it was like the most mundane thing, and I'm just driving. But it started to hit harder then, and things like that.
Yeah,
so,
it's when you don't. I suppose it's when your mind relaxes, right? Because you don't need to be worried or be the you don't need to be strong. You don't need to be I don't know the rock as you put it.
It's like the adrenaline running out, right? When you no longer have that push of adrenaline and now your body's reacting after and everything. So it's I understand, and it is tough, like you said, when it's something you're not used to, and therefore your first interaction with those kind of feelings, emotions, or whatever. That's especially just like okay. But I think what I'm trying to push back and kind of even what we're getting in IRC chat is it's normal and it's not something so bad. And like you said, because it's not like you were worried about hurting yourself or doing something to follow through on basically what that emotion was. It's all good, right? Yeah.
Well, I don't think it was anything particularly severe because it was a one-off as well. I mean, it could have been just, I don't know, take all the conditions together and hormones, who knows, right? It could be freaking anything.
Oh yeah.
But there's no event trigger. I mean, unless July 4th sets me off for some reason, which it never has in the past.
It's because of all of the silly colonials, right?
Oh god, I miss when Britain was an empire. Oh god. It's getting to me, guys.
It's finally come home to you where you realize exactly how evil us Americans are.
Just start crying, God save the Queen.
Right? But no, and yeah, my thing there is it's a normal thing. It's how you process and deal with. If you need to take time for yourself, just take some time. I mean, it sucks when it's in the middle of an event or something like that you may want to be doing stuff and then it kind of catches you, but as long as you keep it healthy, it's all good. And, we have a lot of people reacting in the RC for this because it's something that I think everybody deals with to some level, no matter how strong you are.
Yeah.
I'm challenged because I have my own thoughts, and it's weird, right? I totally support when people feel they need to talk to people and go to someone who's a professional and things like that to work through issues. But in a way, it's almost hypocritical because I won't let myself do that.
I'm the same. Yeah.
Right. We've talked about it some before where it's, and I don't want to say it's not accurate to say that I see it as a weakness kind of thing, but it is something that I put on myself as.
You see it as a weakness for you, right?
Yes. Right. And so it's hard because I don't ever want to dissuade anyone else from doing it. I'm not judging other people for doing it. It's just something that I have trouble picturing for myself. But I've had people take it as though I was saying something negative about them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, that's not it at all. It's a totally personal thing. And I think it came up because people who do go to therapy and really feel like it's important for them, in a way, just like how any experience we each have, as personal as it makes it difficult sometimes to understand how others react in the same situation when you see them act differently.
Yeah.
In that same kind of way, I don't know, how to I react a certain way, others react different ways, and sometimes I can't understand how they react. So I can understand them not understanding how I react. And in a way, it's okay knowing it's different as long as it doesn't negatively impact someone else. I guess that's the best I could say that. And yes, I hold myself to my own standards that are probably not the same as what others do. And people may think that's wrong, but that's real. It is who I am. And so
I'm the exact same because I see people who go to therapy as particularly strong, right? I see it as an impressive thing to open yourself bare that way. It's like being able to take to me, it's like being able to take a lot of physical pain. It's an impressive thing because I would not want to do that. I'm not interested in doing that, right? To me, it is a true weakness that I cannot easily talk to a therapist because there's a mixed reason. I think I've even convinced myself that I don't feel this way about anything, but I feel like I don't know. I've decided that the only way that I can talk to a therapist is if it is one who is not a therapist but a psychiatrist, somebody who's a doctor, right? Somebody who's a medical professional to that level where they've done 2 degrees and a diploma, right? I need to have like the top level, somebody who I know is going to be like able to not just like, I don't know, downplay whatever's going on and see a medical reason behind it. I want the scientific view, right? In the end, I want the scientific view, not the you need somebody to talk to be there for you. I don't want that. I want somebody who can actually look at it and say, this is the problem due to this chemical imbalance or something. That's what I'm more interested in.
It's easier to understand when it's something biological or something that you can attach to than it is a way of thinking.
Yeah.
Or feeling.
Absolutely.
So I get you.
Absolutely.
I do. And that's something where, and thankfully I don't think it's appropriate here, but just in general, if people are dealing with an issue and you find you're in a place where you don't think you can actually deal with it, or you think the answers that are coming to you are not healthy, may seem like self-harm or something like that, please reach out to others. There are people out there willing to talk to you, and they don't have to be your friends or family or people you know. There's hotlines and support groups and email things and stuff like that for all of those kind of things. And so please do reach out, because it may be tough now, and it may be tough after, but there's resources out there that you can reach out to and get some things with. So just, I definitely want people to remember that.
Absolutely, because in the end, the resources are there for a reason, right? It's an important thing to be able to get help when you need it, because in the end, mental health is just the same as physical health. If you have a broken arm, you'll go to the doctor. Why would you not do it with your brain if there's something going on with your brain, right? It is scientific, it is biological, and there will be a solution to it. So go and see, right? At the very least, even if you're unsalvageable, right? Unlikely, right? Pretty damn unlikely. But even if you are, at the very least, you go in and we'll give them a chance of helping somebody in the future, right? So even if you want to do it from a non-selfish standpoint, or you can still go in, right? It's still a good thing to go in and get help.
Yes,
that's the way I see it. Anyway, so I wanted to bring that up because, well, just for itself, its own sake, really. But I actually want to lead into my university has started a new, I don't want to say program. A professor in my department has noticed that there's an issue with mental health issues in the postgraduates here in my department. There's very few of us. There's like 25 PhD students here.
Okay.
And a surprisingly large percentage of them are currently off due to depression and stress and such. Like really bad stuff. Right?
Okay.
I don't want to go into any details because one, I'm not supposed to know any details, and two, I've only heard hearsay, so I don't want to gossip either. And three, even if it turns out to be true, I wouldn't want to be telling somebody's private information online, right?
Yeah.
Point being, there are people who have had some serious mental issues that are in need of some help, and if there's quite a high percentage of people in a group that large, it kind of says there's a good chance that there's a correlation with something there, right? So they've been putting some effort into doing these sort of mental health workshops, I want to say. Basically, it's just a lunch session. Once a week, we get together into the staff room and just talk, because one of the biggest problems with PhD students is, isolation. You are the only person in the entire world who's going to be the number one expert in your specific field. And guess what? It's kind of lonely at the top in a way, right?
I can see that.
Because in the end, if you're the only one who can be that specialized in this one specific thing, that's not a good thing for your mental health, because there's nobody to talk to about it. Nobody will understand what you're going through.
When you don't truly have peers to share things with. Dude, my entire work type thing where, because of the things I can and can't share, most of the people that I have in my life who are the friends, the emotion, the things like that, I can't share anything with. And so it's like my entire existence of, I'll just keep this bottled up.
Even if it's just for the minor things, I can see why that would be annoying, because, I think everybody kind of likes to be able to go home or go and see some friends, and they say, how's work? And, you just say, oh, well, we've got this project or something going on, and it's either going good or it's going poorly, and either which way I want to mention it in passing. And it makes you feel good that you can share what you spend 40 hours a week doing, So I totally get why it's hard. It can be hard sometimes to not share.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I have a lot of knowledge and experience with stuff like that. Anyhow, but all right. I do think, no, that's good that you've come up with something at work where people are doing, and I know I have resources in my stuff, but it's still even a thing where it's like, meh. But for as healthy or not as that may be, I know personally how I do so many things. But beyond that, did you want to bring up any more, or is anything else you want to bring up that
I had a couple minor things. So the new, I don't know how much of this I should talk about, but basically, I think this mental health sessions thing is really good, and I'm really for it. However, issues have been going on for a couple of years now, and I believe this is partly due to I couldn't even tell you whether it's the culture within our university or whether it's within the department or whether it's specific individual issues that are not even correlated. I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
What I can say is that there are issues, and they're only now just getting looked into. And I've been saying for years that there needs to be more stuff getting done. And I'm really glad that this person who's arranged it is putting in the effort and time to try and solve some of these issues. It's fantastic. However, partly because I've been here for 4 years doing my PhD, and then I spent 4 years before that doing my undergrad here. I've been here for almost a decade. I've been here for some time, and I've seen these issues happening. And because it's been going on for so long, I made a point of there's a new head of department starting in the past week just started. And the first chance I got, I sat down with the guy inside the staff room and said, look, here are all the things I think is wrong with the PhD scheme at this university in this department. Okay. And I spent about 15, 20 minutes, not a long time, just saying like a bullet point list of all these things are wrong in the department, and these are how I think we can solve them. And I don't think that it's a particular person's to blame. It's like a cultural thing. And I don't think we should go into and attack this in a blaming type manner. This should be a case of, that this is a problem that needs to be solved. Let's do it positively. So I wasn't like trying to point fingers at anybody or anything like that. But I sat down and said, I just basically told this guy he's got a big job ahead of him and a lot of things need to be solved. And that, as a PhD, shouldn't, somebody who's very low, the lowest of the low that can be in a department. I don't have any position of power. I have no contract keeping me here. If they want to be relieved of me, they can do it with the blink of an eye, right?
Oh, yeah.
But the way I see it is that, I'm in my final year. I'm now counting down how long I have in months rather than years. And if I can say something that might help people, then I'm going to do it, even if it may be a detriment to me. And so I did. And so I did that, and that was dangerous and fun. I think the new head of department appreciated my honesty, which is always good. And I think I had one more thing on my list. So aside from all this sort of kind of sad stuff, I have 12 days until I go to Alton Towers.
Oh, nice.
So Alton Towers being I don't want to say festival, but the carnival, bunch of roller coasters and stuff, right? Yeah. In England. And I'm going there in 12 days with Graham, his girlfriend, and my wife. And we're going to have a road trip down there and back for the weekend, which means 2 weeks on Sunday I will not be here. So 14 days I will not be in there.
That's good to note, because for me, I'm pretty sure... Oh, I got to double check. I have to pay for the event if I do it. Next weekend on Sunday, I should be at a martial arts event, so we shall see. Cool.
Let me know. I'm happy to cover.
Yeah, no, but I haven't paid for it yet, so we'll see how that works. Yay, and if they still have a room. So I got to double check on that, but there's a likelihood I will be out next week for that. So heads up.
Okay. No worries. That's everything for me. What have you been up to, sir?
Alrighty. Well, I have a list going, but I'll try to knock things out fairly quick. I did want to say happy after the fact 4th of July to us colonials and such, and the fact that we blasted our way into our own independence, but didn't go out and do too crazy this time. There's enough dryness and fires going on around Colorado that most fireworks were banned this year. Oh, which is opposite of last year's, and a lot of the major displays didn't happen. Although, wow, I did go to a friend's house, Brock Sampson, Game Fest guy's house, and we hung out and kind of just enjoyed the evening barbecue, that kind of thing, like you tend to do. I did, he had it nicely set up down in like this open field behind the house, volleyball net and cornhole. Some other games and stuff like that for people to play together. I did get into some volleyball with that, which was fun, except it was entertaining because the younger kids that were there, teenagers and under, played against all of us old folk, and we destroyed them. Like, they were just bad. It's like, it's volleyball. Everyone played this, right? They were so bad. Um, it's funny to say, but I was just kind of laughing because they were only giving so much effort, and then us like grown-ups were like diving for the ball and trying to spike it over, and do all the hardcore like, no, we're playing a sport, we got this. But it was good. It was a good time. Although I did go into the evening a little harsh in that I rolled my ankle after volleyball, or playing it in the grass. So that hurt, still is a little off today. And then at some point, the music was playing stuff, and they had a bunch of little glow sticks for the kids to kind of run around. And so I picked up a couple, and there's some song with the beat on, so I kind of started doing a little bit of dance and stuff with it. Nice. At which point, people pointed me out, like Brock and his wife and her sister and stuff. They kind of like, oh, hey, check out Wayne, he can dance, whatever. And excuse me,
it's good to be recognized.
Yikes! Excuse me.
That was like a sort of like a slightly racist old martial arts movie where the lead character does a big move. That's what it sounded like.
And over the top soundtrack over it. That was the forcing it out so I'd have one sneeze versus many. Sorry about that. But in doing so, I then started dancing through the evening and showing the kids a couple of the dances and such, and played a bunch of like old early 90s hip hop and stuff, and jacked up my knee because I'm old. And the knee that I had hurt myself dancing at Katsucon, I'm pretty sure I had dislocated, aggravated itself. So I spent the next couple of days like, oh gosh, I'm too old for that. Anyhow, with that in mind, I spent yesterday hiking about a bunch, and today I decided to go for a run. So, yay. I am lightly, although not likely, because I don't think I'm healthy enough to be able to do it with my joints. But El Campo had offered a ticket to go participate in the Tough Mudder in a couple weeks. And I realized that would probably be a very bad decision for me to do. And I told myself last time I did it that I would never do another. But he was pushing like, oh, hey, got another ticket. Hey. I'm just like, oh, I could. Wait. I'm old and hate like all of that. Why would I do that to myself again? So I'm probably going to respond back to him and say, no, not doing it.
Yes, you absolutely should not do it.
But I was testing myself with the run today and a little bit things to see, am I actually broken or not? We'll see how it goes. Also, let's see. So did running. I was helping Zenko Akko today a little bit with changing the brakes on their car. So sitting out in the what is currently 95-degree heat this morning. Because I went running earlier in the morning where it was only like 85. Somewhere in the range of like high 30s. Now it's reaching up closer, not quite to 40 C, but like 39-ish or so right now. So they were finishing up some brakes out there. I mentioned the thing about Ben getting together. That was really nice. I had taken my poi out there to spin a little bit of poi since he did that all the time. So I haven't had the opportunity to get to where he's buried to do that yet, but at the party did a little bit. Separate from that, because it was basically to celebrate for his birthday tomorrow, also wanted to throw some birthday wishes for this upcoming week to both MelonDreams Cosplay, a friend of ours, as well as to Lieutenant Fork. If you get a chance to game with her, hers is going to be in a couple days, so make sure to say hi and happy birthday to her. Other than that hasn't been geek related this week, or is kind of on the fence of it, I want to mention that I've actually done a little bit of watching of things recently. I finished up Punisher, finally, the Marvel series on Netflix. I had watched like the first half of it a while back, and then almost all the way through. I'd only had like 4 episodes left or something, and I just had lost it. Like I'd got busy with other things. So I finally, in the last week or so, sat down and finished watching it up, enjoyed it, and was like, I thought it ended fairly solid, which is good because I know there's a new series coming out for the MCU stuff, and I really wanted to catch them. Mostly, I still need to watch the second season of Jessica Jones, which I've heard mixed,
so good.
But
really
I want to see
that.
it. And I really, because they just released, and I haven't looked at any of it, the second season of Luke Cage, and so I'm like,
pretty good.
Man, I need to see these. And so I had to finish up Punisher first so I can keep all of them in order. And next I hope to start Jessica Jones here some point. Maybe I'll get back to editing photos and have that on the side. Too many things I'm trying to do with my free time, and so that one's been a tough one. But trying to get those done. And then also, and I will try to talk about this just minimally to hopefully get others to look at as well, but I went and saw Incredibles 2.
Okay. I've never even seen the first one. How was it?
What? So,
Never appealed to me.
It's interesting because the first Incredibles, a lot of people just really loved as a Pixar film, being a really great superhero kind of story, but in that animated, digital animation format. Because I really loved the first Incredibles. I thought it was so well done, and the characters were all wonderful, and just it was great. So this one, and it's funny because the introduction, I'm sure they did this everywhere, but they had a thing saying where, oh gosh, and Hando's saying I gotta watch Cloak and Dagger, which had been on my list forever, but I haven't checked that out yet.
You also have to watch Sense8.
So I've seen first season of Sense8, but I need to get back in to see the second.
Worth rewatching.
But that they did an intro on Incredibles too, where they actually had like Samuel Jackson. I forget all the other voice actors, but the people who voice act most of the characters in it, the lead characters, comment and kind of came on screen and said, "Hey everybody, yeah, we know it's been like 14 years since the last Incredibles, and just want to let you know that it takes a long time to do really good work." And,
must do.
And we want to let you know we really tried hard on this one, and we're pretty sure you'll love it. So give it a shot. Can't wait. Glad you're here. It was just kind of funny to note that it has been forever. So watching Incredibles 2 to me was joyous. I went on my own just because I have Movie Pass and I need to use it more, so I'm getting my money's worth out of it. And I was guffawing out loud watching this movie.
Wow.
I really enjoyed it. There were sequences in it with certain characters that I think are just super memorable, and I will probably need to see again. I thought it was so great. And there's even like one of the best posts I've seen is talking about two of the characters in it saying, I want to see a short that's just the night these two hung out. Because you see like the beginning, and then you don't get to see that because they follow the other characters, and then you see the after effect at the end. And the way it finishes, where you see what's happening, you're like, what must have happened while you were gone? What was that happened there? I'm really curious. And it was just so much fun. All the characters true to who they were. It picked up right where the other one left off, and it tickled my fancy. I thought it was really a great movie. So I do recommend it for anyone. If you liked the first Incredibles, I think you will love the second one. So throwing that out there. And it was visually wonderful, and I laughed so much through it. I had a really good time, so I recommend. Just throwing it out there. Let's see. Other than that, I think that's all I have that is not geeky this week. And so with that, we'll see if I can properly play this and turn us over to geek without playing too much. I'll say,
I'm a geek. Are you a geek? Geek cred, level up!
Hey, I got that one to work right. And so, as we switch into geek, I do see, and we'll probably start this way because we'll see how it goes, but we have 2 emails in from people, and I will pick up the first one here, coming to us from our friend AgriSSW. It says, Geek Cred Wall of Text. So, coming in to start things off today, greetings, gents of the X-World. AgriSSW here once more to share my week in geek. First off, Ambrosia and I celebrated our 1-year anniversary since I proposed to her, and she said yes. We still in no hurry, but when the day is set, we will let y'all know. Now on to the geek stuff. I've achieved yet another lifetime first. A few years ago, I built my first PC from scratch and was very proud of that. Last week, I took advantage of some sales and have added a new SSD to my PC. This is the first time I've ever added some a bit of hardware to a PC myself. My new SSD is purely for running all of my games on, and I've noticed the faster load times, and should have done this sooner. I do recommend to everybody, SSD should be in 2 places. Your boot drive, where you run your OS, because that makes everything you touch on your computer faster, and your main gaming drive, because that makes all of the games that take any time to load faster. So those are the 2 places I put. And if you need to and get a big enough SSD, I do recommend you can put your OS on your one and put a couple of your games on the same drive, and that's fine. I usually recommend that if you get at least a 0.5 terabyte or bigger. You can do it on 256. OS doesn't take that much, but it's up to you how you manage it.
WoW in there. That's all you need.
Which doesn't really matter because that's like what?
It does improve load times quite a lot for instances.
It's like late 90s, early 2000s technology. I mean, you should be able to run that on your toaster.
Sadly. It begun development in 1998, I believe.
Basically, right? All right, now on to gaming. I have taken a break from my Twitch streaming for now since I have been consumed in a game I picked up from Steam sale, and that is Conan Exiles. I picked it up after watching the Zero Punctuation review for it and was intrigued, so after the summer sale began, I made the purchase and have to give a big thank you to Mr. Yahtzee for bringing this game to my attention. If anyone has any interest in this game, I would highly recommend it and get it for the low price of $12 in the current Humble Bundle monthly. I showed it to Ambrosia, and she really enjoyed it, so much I got her a copy via Humble. On a final note, I noticed there exists an option to rent your own server that will support up to 50 players for a reasonable fee of about $1 and some change. If anyone on VTW is interested in playing some Conan Exiles, I would be very open to opening a server for us and friends to play on. I'll make a post on the VTW Reddit later for those interested. Thank you for reading this wall of text, and shout out to my loving fiancée, Ambrosia Hartnett. And thank you, good sirs, to keep up the great work, and hope to see some of you in the exiled lands to survive. And he just puts a link that I will post into the chat, but everyone should know. And here is the Humble Bundle monthly, if you're interested in that. That coming to us from Agris SW, level 110, human paladin from the guild Silverwings on Moonguard US, the paladin and husband-to-be of Ambrosia Hartnett. Thank you very much. We always like to hear from you, Agris SW, and it's wonderful when you get there and start to do new hardware and tech into your computers. It's one of those things that I usually am surprised, but often very happy to see when people that I've helped work on computers in the past get to a stage where they start doing so without even telling me, and I get to hear later about how, oh yeah, no, I upgraded this, and this, all on my own. I'm like, what? Look at you! Look at you, my little baby has grown so much. So yeah, I always love hearing when people get to that point where they feel totally comfortable adding more too. So awesome. And yeah, so Conan Exiles, I know a lot of people have been really enjoying that game. I haven't checked it out. I played back when the original Conan MMO came out and was like, meh, it's okay, whatever. But I've heard a lot of people really enjoying Exiles. I could see, and actually that private server is an interesting thought. Although, I don't know, my gaming time is so weird. I always am happy for others to jump on and do the VTW thing and throw it out to there. Just don't rely on me to be the leader of those guilds or things, because likelihood of me being there is low. But I like to come and participate, and if others are there, I might jump on. So there's that. But definitely, let us know.
was available, but
right? Well, and I actually really appreciate you bringing up about the Reddit, because we have people slowly posting into the Reddit and some ideas and stuff throwing around there. But if you do, go to reddit.com and check out the subreddit ShowX, so we can start building up and deciding what to do on our show and how we can better interact with all of you. So check that out. But yes, thank you very much for that, Agris SW. And Ken, are you logged in at a point where you could check out the next email?
I am. I'm logged in, but I'm not actually open. But I'll open it now. Yes, here we go. So this is from Cupcheck.
Hey there, Cupcheck.
So this actually seems rather appropriate due to the fact that this was he sent this before the show, but then we talked about depression a little bit anyway, and the title of this is Depression That Led into Geek Cred.
Well, it's funny too, because in the chat he actually said, "Oh, Ken must have read my email or seen it."
No, I hadn't. I make a point of avoiding the emails until the show starts, so that I get surprised and have a real reaction on air. On July 3rd, I was hit hard with some personal stuff that threw me in a downward spiral. When I'm like this, I normally go out and buy things for myself. It's funny how people have different ways of like making themselves feel happy. Like,
oh yes.
For me, I either drink too much or eat too much. Like either I overindulge in some way, and I think that's a common theme, right? Whenever people are down, they tend to overindulge in something. Either buying video games, buying, I don't know, stuff they shouldn't buy for themselves that they're like entertainment or fun based, or food, or that kind of thing, or drink. When I'm like this, I normally go out and buy things for myself. With this date being 1 week from my birthday, I got myself something that I thought I would never be able to get. A NES classic. Aww.
Oh, nice.
When I got home and when I got it home and out of the box, the first thing I did is look up some way to get the entire NES library onto my tiny little bundle of joy. Yes, I hacked it. But if it was to mess up somehow, I've got an extended warranty from Target. Smart thinking, huh? I'm surprised Target give a warranty with a classic NES. That's pretty nuts.
Well, I mean, it may not be built-in one. It might be one that you have to pay for the extended, but because of the price of the tiny NES, it shouldn't be that bad.
Yeah. So with the entire library at my fingertips, I ended up playing one game for 9 hours, flashing back to a point in my life when me and my mother were competitive in only one thing, Tetris. Aww.
Oh, nice.
Multiplayer Tetris. Here's the issue I'm having with the NES Classic, though. Lack of audio. being HDMI only for both video and audio, and only having consistent access to my second computer monitor, I can't hear anything.
And if your monitor doesn't have built-in audio in the monitor, which admittedly is terrible, and usually one mono, a little terrible speaker, but at least it would work with the HDMI. And so if you don't have that, that could be tough. That's all right. Just bring a receiver into your office next to it and plug a HDMI into the receiver and then out back into the monitor.
Yeah, that would work.
That's one way.
Any idea on what to purchase to get audio to my computer speakers? No, but I'm sure if you ask on Reddit or just Google it, there must be an answer out there, because you're not going to be the only person who's having this issue in the modern day.
The challenge with this is you basically do need either a capture card or something like that to be able to roll it in if you want to use it on your computer itself. There may be, I haven't ever seen any hardware as a dedicated like audio breakout for an HDMI connection. You could look at that at like Amazon or something to see if there is anything, and can look at it real time here, but that's something that normally it's just the way, because HDMI has so many things about actually there's a thing called HDMI audio extractor to Toslink and to stereo RCA. So for about $20 you can get something that will at least pull it out. So the challenge though is I think that I don't know if it's a pass-through as well. That has HDMI
Kurio's dropped a link in the chat as well for the HDMI splitter. Audio splitter.
Yeah, so there are options. Yeah, these would work for like $20 or less or so that you could get. That would basically be a pass-through that allows the audio to be pulled off through multiple ways. So yes, you absolutely can do that. I just have not looked. The only challenge you may run into, and I'm not sure if any of these have that issue, is whether or not you're trying to play. If you were to use this to play any kind of like DVD or Blu-ray technology back out, sometimes those kind of devices don't allow the protection through, and will cause the playback software to say no, because it doesn't actually work with the whatever their DRM type protection is through HDMI. That's one thing to note, but yeah, it sounds like it would work. So do that. Yep,
cool. And lastly, he says, P.S. playing Tetris as I listened to the show before work. High score is 120k at level 15. Good for you.
Nice. I need it. Gosh, my only Tetris scores always came from my Game Boy, original Game Boy with original Tetris on it that I still have in my, right now. Normally it's in my bedside table. Right now I think it's down the basement. But that is where I've done most of mine and have always enjoyed it. So can't say beyond it. But yes. All right.
Nice.
So thank you very much for the email. Is there anything else in there for that?
That's all the email stuff. So thank you very much for the emails, folks. If you want to send one in, you can do so for next week to showx@vtwproductions.com. It's always appreciated.
Yes, we much appreciate it. So Ken, what have you been doing that's been geeky this last week?
Yeah. So let me put on a different screen here so I don't get lost like I normally do. So first of all, I'm really bad at this whole, structured podcast thing. But I keep dreaming about something that is geek related, and being that it's a TV show that I watched. This kind of fantasy, I suppose, which is Sense8, which I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And I keep dreaming about it. I've had 3 dreams in the past week about Sense8. I don't know why. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I have been thinking.
Are you connected to someone? Do you have a group? Are you actually sharing in the dreams of others? And it's not really that you're dreaming about Sense8. It's you yourself are finally reaching out and connecting with your group.
Maybe that's what happened on Thursday when I had, or on.
Oh yeah, 4th. When you shut down.
Yeah, it must have been I must have felt somebody else's depression. That's the only thing that makes sense, right? It's beginning. I've got my own cluster. But it's just such a good TV show, and I'm just still. I think the fact that it ended is really have me. I think I'm more gutted than I realized about the fact that I'm never going to get to watch it again. Except, I can only ever rewatch it. Right, I'm never going to see anything new, and it's so sad because in a way it's a death of all the characters, right? Because I never see how the characters progress. I never see what happens further on. And they wrapped everything up in the finale as best they could. But they did that for the main storyline, not for like each character's individual storylines. For example, one of the main characters was an actor who just got this big Hollywood deal, and then he had to put it on pause while he went and did the main storyline for the final episode. And we don't hear what happens with that. And I was that's one of the things that's what I dreamed about last night was what happened to his movie deal. I was trying to work it out for some reason in my mind. I'm just sad about it, I'm just sad that we're never going to find out. and it just makes me feel a little bit down about that.
Oh, that tells you it was a good show. So yeah.
Yeah, it really, really was. And like I said, it's one of the few shows I've actually subscribed to the subreddit for because I want to hear people talk about it because I don't know anybody who's watched it yet.
Gotcha.
Anybody? So yeah, it's a great TV show, and anybody who hasn't seen it should probably see it. What else was I going to say? So I've been watching more Voyager.
Okay.
Which is as in Star Trek Voyager. And in the first season, I wasn't totally taken aboard by it. I don't know. I felt like maybe it was because I enjoyed TNG Next Generation so much that perhaps seeing the
different set of characters and what was going on.
Yeah, I felt like they were trying to steal it almost, which doesn't make sense, right? Because TNG isn't even the original. But I don't know. It just felt like they were taking their places. How dare they? I guess I have a thing where I get overly connected to characters on TV shows.
I'm catching a theme here, Ken.
Yeah, I know, right? So yeah, that was that's something I've been watching and keeping up with. I'm now on season 3, as of this week. It's good, right? I'm enjoying it more. I'd say I went from like 45% enjoyment to maybe like 65.
Okay.
I really do like Captain Janeway as a captain. I think she's great. She is. In fact, somebody asked me recently who I think my feminist icons in pop culture would be, and I said my first one is probably going to be Captain Janeway because she's just great. She does what a woman captain should do, in that it is no different from being a captain as a male, right? And it's not a thing, and I like that. It's just a captain, and I love it because she's just so on the ball. And when people make sexist comments or and stuff, she doesn't bat an eyelid. She's just like, I'm here to do a job. Like I'm not gonna worry about that crap. I'm here to do my job as a captain, and I have a lot of respect for that.
Interesting. Well, because that's interesting here because I never quite resonated with her as a captain.
Really?
Yeah. No, I never liked her. And it's part of what I did not like about Voyager. Most of the characters, there were never any characters that I really got into in Voyager. And so
yeah, there's a few that don't pop too much for me.
Because I really loved TNG was great, but I also really liked Deep Space Nine, and I just don't know what it was about Voyager that I just never got into.
That's fair. I do feel what you mean. Like, it's definitely not as good as TNG. TNG was just fantastic. I don't think there could be another Star Trek that tops it just because it was so unique for me. That being said, I do like Janeway as a captain, and there was one episode I both really liked and really disliked. And I'll get into that in a moment. So basically, there was this one episode where Neelix, and who is like this alien that they met in the Delta Quadrant, which is where the ship got taken, which is why it's called Voyager, right?
Gotcha.
This alien who's now on board the ship and on every episode is also their chef and the morale officer.
Yeah. And
also very annoying. So he went down to this planet to look for some local fauna to harvest for food, right? And along with this person, there was the ship's head of security who went with Neelix, which is Tuvok. So he's a Vulcan, right? So he's super logical and chill, whereas Neelix is very emotional and
bit of a
annoying.
mess. Yes.
Yeah, he's just a total mess. So they went down together onto the surface, and they're just talking away and stuff. And they find a bunch of samples of plants, including some orchids, which they beam up to the ship with.
Uh-oh.
And when they beam back, they realize that they, in fact, are no longer a they, and they are now a he. So they merged, and they looked into the transporters have been used literally millions of times before. They never had this issue before, so they're like, how did this happen? And it turns out that the plant that they came up with, the orchid they came up with, was symbiogenetic, whatever. Basically meaning that it survives by being a plant that breeds with other plants, right?
Okay.
Or with other species. So the DNA mixes. So because they transport together, it naturally did that for some reason, right? So it's a pretty terrible reason, but whatever, it happened, right? And that's fine and everything. And it was kind of sad because in a way, the two characters who originally went down the planet, even though they're merged, this new character known as Tuvix has all their memories and sort of like a mishmash of their personalities. He's very logical, but also has the emotions as well. And he's quite a well-rounded character. Like he's a fine character. He's actually kind of a nice guy, and the crew start to like him. Now, as soon as he goes back on the ship and they realize this happened, they try to start finding a solution for this problem because they've lost two of their crew members in exchange for one new one, right? They finally find a way to do it after a few weeks, and they are about to begin the procedure when this new character says, like, "But I don't want to die," and they say, "Don't you see logically that it makes sense for you to die to save two others? Would you not sacrifice to save two lives?" And he says, "Yes, but I also believe that any person should have the right to live." And he's like, I don't want to die. And it's as simple as that. I just don't want to. So it's clearly the emotions were playing in as well as the logic, right?
Yeah.
And I was kind of curious as to how they were going to handle the situation. I sort of thought, like, oh, well, they'll just do a transport, this, like, not a move file, but like a copy file, right? Pretty much that. And I thought that would be the solution. As it turns out, what they did instead was there was no way to do it. So the Captain Janeway, instead did the only thing which she could. She forced this guy down to the sick bay and forced him to go through the procedure to get the crew back. And it was a very obviously moral gray decision because everybody in the staff were just like, "What the hell? How did this happen? Like, you just murdered somebody." And it was at first I was kind of angry. I was like, "This is so anti what the Federation stands for," you know, like. She just killed a new species, and their whole duty is to find and discover new species and not interfere.
Well, that's the normal edict of what you're trying to do when you're out and about. Not Voyager's in a unique position where they have been pushed to such a quadrant and they're trying to get back that they are not really following the normal, procedures of what the Federation's.
Well, I don't think there is a normal procedure.
Well, not for that specifically, but like with the life and stuff like that, they're more interested in all of them getting back.
Yeah. But she just really said, "Yeah, I have a duty to my crew," and that supersedes anything else, right? So two people died, I need to get them back. Like, it's not my fault that this plant did whatever it did.
Yeah.
Right. So that was the show, and I was really surprised that Janeway did that. And at first, I was quite mad about it. I did some Googling. I looked around at some of people's opinions because I wanted to see, like, am I just being an idiot here? And you know what? What it came down to was pretty much something I already knew of, but I didn't really actually consider it as I probably should have, which is this is just the tram problem, right? So it's a philosophical problem where there are a number of people on a train track, and the train is going towards them. However, you're standing at the side watching this, and there's a lever next to you. If you pull the lever, you can make the train go into another track where there are also people lying, like, tied down there. But there's less of them. There's less people tied down there. So, in other words, you can choose to intentionally kill, say, 2 people.
Okay. In
exchange to save 5, say.
Yeah, the classic, the needs of the many versus the one kind of arguments.
Well, it's not just that. It's got this extra part of considering action versus inaction. So it's kind of the argument that even if you are not doing anything and you don't take part, you not doing anything is the crime, right? You leaving it is sinful, even though you're doing nothing.
Gotcha.
And so that's kind of the key point there. But because actually choosing to kill is less sinful than choosing not to kill in this situation.
Huh.
So it's a really interesting philosophical argument, right? Because you can easily fight both ways. You can say that killing anybody's bad, or you've taken oaths against this. Like, if you're a doctor, for example, a Hippocratic oath would not allow you to do it, but even though you'd actually be intentionally letting more people die. So there's back and forths you can easily go with. So it makes sense, right? So Janeway decided to intentionally kill 1 person to save 2. It's just a simple tram experiment, and to be honest, should have done that regardless of any other situation. And I actually have come to peace with that, and I think it makes sense. Even though she is now technically a murderer, she did the right thing, I think.
Gotcha.
So yeah, really enjoying Voyager. It's good fun, and it is making me think. So it is a good show. It's just not as good as TV. If you go in thinking it's going to be as good as the best, it's not. But it's
Well,
still
and I mean that's the thing, right? They all have to sit somewhere on the hierarchy. Not all of them can be the best.
yeah, absolutely. So other than Voyager, I also watched the film Hateful Eight.
Yeah.
Which is a fantastic Tarantino film. I watched it the first time and I really liked it, but the people I went with said they didn't like it. And
It's one that causes you to think and has some struggling topics like a lot of his things do. Some things that get thrown in your face and characters that you can both kind of understand but at the same time disagree with. And nothing is kind of just on the level. Nothing is just as you see it until you get to the end. So his movies are interesting for that.
Yeah. So I thought it was really well done. I don't really like westerns in general, so this is like a western that I actually enjoy. I also love the fact that he's in the film as, you know.
Oh yeah, any of the roles he gets in there with are fun, and he tends to usually die.
I also like the fact that it's very difficult to have a film where there's such blatant racism and to do it artfully, and in a way that's not offensive or pandering, right?
And still possibly a little offensive, but in the context of the story.
Oh well, it's because of the time, right? It's in the time period. It makes sense. I mean, I think it's really bad to just gloss over and pretend it didn't happen, right? I think it's a good thing to show that it happened. And I like the fact that he made the character who was African American and persecuted against wasn't just like a completely innocent character either. Just like everybody else, he was mixed, right? So he had ups and downs, just like everybody else, which was good because it made it feel more realistic and more like a real person rather than just like a token card, right?
Oh yeah.
And plus it was played by Samuel L. Jackson, so you know who can complain about that? So fantastic film. I enjoy watching it even more the second time around, knowing what the ending was, and I could watch a bit more and pay attention to the sort of what's actually happening throughout it. It's always kind of fun to see these films again. I watched another episode of The Tick. New episodes are out since I last watched that, and it's also a great TV series on Amazon Prime.
I need to go back to that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really fun. I was openly laughing. I keep forgetting how funny that TV show is. As well as that, I've been playing some Black Ops here and there. So anybody who follows me on Twitter would have seen that I actually complained about Black Ops a little bit this week. As much as I'm enjoying it, there is one real pain in the ass thing about it, which is something that we've talked about many times of the show as being a crappy thing with games these days in general. If you try to play Black Ops single player and you lose your internet connection, as I did, playing on the hardest difficulty, and I was halfway through a level and proud of myself for getting that far, and then promptly, instantly disconnecting. So yeah, that was pretty annoying. That made me really mad because single player, I'm not playing with anybody online. What is the problem here? Why on earth am I getting disconnected? So I got really mad, and I put up a tweet saying something similar, something slightly sarcastic about the fact that happened. Even though it's a free game, so I don't really feel like I have the highest amount of right to complain, considering I got it for free. That being said, it is £55 again on the PlayStation Store. Right, so it's still full price. It's just that it was only free for a little while.
Yeah, they had it there for that moment if you got it.
Yeah. So I still enjoy it, but at the same time, I don't think it's worth spending any money on, and I wouldn't if I were you. I've also been playing Diablo again because we had this little LAN party yesterday.
Nice.
So Kitten was feeling worried about my mental state, and she was like, "Do you need to relax? Do you need to do something? We'll do something. We'll do something nice for you. We'll do something you enjoy. Let's play games. Let's play games. You love games." And so she organized a mini LAN party, invited a couple of her friends around, and we played Diablo, and we played Black Ops. We played a little bit of Fortnite last night, and had a few drinks as well, which is why I'm slightly hungover.
Nice.
And Diablo, I forgot how fun Diablo is, even though it's like the most samey thing ever, and it's just
base roll, just
yeah. I forgot that playing on the higher difficulties actually gives it a level of fun. And so I've been doing that on higher difficulties and enjoying it. And finally, I've not actually been playing it. I just now have the ability to.
Oh.
RuneScape, which is a childhood classic for me, right? Like it was such a classic for me. Like I loved it as a kid. I used to play the crap out of this. I used to get up at like 5 a.m. on school days. By the way, I lived 10 minutes from school, so I needed to get up at 10 to 9, right, latest. But I got up at like 5 a.m. every morning before my parents were up, and I never told them I was up. They never knew that I was up this early, and I'd play RuneScape. I'd just go and chop down wood and I don't know, kill things and bury bones and try and level up my
genuinely enjoy yourself.
Yeah, I loved it. It was the MMO before WoW, right? It was the big MMO before WoW. And it's still huge. It's still got a huge player base. And because of that, there's RuneScape 3, which is the cancerous loot box version of RuneScape, which it doesn't even look good, but it's the improved version of graphics.
Okay.
So it's got less players than old school RuneScape, which is RuneScape 2. But to play RuneScape 2, it's free if you want to play. Like I think you get like 15 quests for free out of like 100, and you could get like some skills unlocked, but not all of them, right? So they're members only. Otherwise, I think it's like £6-7 a month to play members, which is quite expensive for a browser-based video game, right? Although I don't believe it's actually in the browser anymore. I think you have to get a client.
Okay.
However, people still love it and still play it because it's a classic, right? It's lots of nostalgia related to it, and it is a staple of video game history.
Yes,
and they have finally they released it for Android in the past week.
Oh,
so RuneScape is now available for Android. You can play it on your Android mobile phone.
Nice.
And so I installed it, but sadly it is members only, right? So only members can actually play RuneScape on mobile. So here, as you can see, is RuneScape playing on my phone. How cool is that? It just makes me so happy, right? I just prove it's real.
That it actually
user.
Look,
you can log in. Yeah, you can log in. Let me actually log in here, and I'll show you. I've not actually played it like at all. I opened it up. And I just to feel that it's real, because I still couldn't quite believe that it was real.
Gotcha.
Okay, there we go. Logging in, and tap to play. There we go. Look, look at that. It's freaking RuneScape, man. Turn around. There we go. There we go. Look at that.
Nice.
How cool is that? I mean, the Grand Exchange. I love it. So I don't plan to play it very good at all. I just really wanted to feel it, because RuneScape was such a big thing for me as a child, and now seeing it on my phone and be able to so fluidly move around, the controls are really good on it. Like surprisingly, because it's very point and click based, you don't need to do much. Gotcha. And if you want to right click on something, you just hold down for like a second, and it works fine. I could easily play that. I thought it was going to be clunky and disgusting, but it's actually really easy to play.
It's always interesting when people figure out a good UI, experience coming from, the full-on mouse, keyboard, whatever kind of thing you had, to then translate it to mobile. That takes a certain level of genius, and it's always fun to see people who can pull it off. Yeah.
And that means that I can now waste my time whenever I'm on a train or a bus playing RuneScape, and that just makes me kind of happy.
Nice.
So yeah, check out if you have an Android phone, if you ever used to play RuneScape, it is a lot of fun. Feel free to add me. I can't remember. But it's just my email address, ken@kenreed.co.uk. Feel free to add me on RuneScape. I really do love that game. It's a lot of fun, and it's just a classic. It really is. It's just so. However, the Android version you have to be a member for, so you have to pay your subscription. And you need to get in before they meet the cap, which may have already been met. I don't know.
Oh.
But since it's open beta at the moment, there's only, I think, 250,000 people allowed in or something like that.
Okay.
So I know they raised it again yesterday up a bit more. So I don't know what the total cap is now. But if you do want it again, you'll have to get in quickly. But you can always download the app and not actually log in or pay, right? Just get the app before you get kicked out. But yeah, so that's RuneScape, and that's awesome. That's everything on my side, sir. That's all my geek cred.
Well, with that then, I think we will take a break, and we will play a song here, and this will kind of lead itself towards what I'll talk about coming back from the break. But we're going to take a break here for about 4 minutes, just under that, as I play a song from our friends over at OC Remix, because they have so many great remixes of video game music, and it's pod safe. So let's do that, and that way you can all refresh your drinks, run to the restroom, anything you need to do. Send in emails, talk to us in that way, and we'll be back just after this. You're listening to Show X on VTWProductions.com, and we'll be back right after this break.
Send in your emails to showx@vtwproductions.com. You're listening to Show X on VTWProductions.com.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the show. Hopefully you had a good quick break. I did. I've refreshed my drink, and I'm ready to go now into my geek cred for the week. So awesome. First thing I wanted to bring up right away is, hey, there have been some events going on in Pokemon Go. And there's one going on right now if you're in the US at least, or it's been going around the world. So you've probably already missed out because it was from noon to 3 in your local area today going around the world. And that was for basically Squirtle Squad, where you could go and there's a higher chance of seeing Squirtles today. And I think if you hatch them or if you get them from some other events or something like that, actually, I'm going to try one right now or claim a reward on my thing to see about random encounters, because that might have been the other way you could do it. Is that, oh no, this is a Pikachu. Huh. So yesterday, there's also going on a Pikachu event, which the Pikachus are wearing little hats and sunglasses right now.
Yes.
And the fun thing about it is any of these ones that you get from the events, they will stay. And even if you update them or evolve them, they will maintain those costumes, which is kind of fun. And so they'd like to do these unique events, and since they've recently added trading into the game, I think it's going to be even more for like myself, where I do not have the ability, because we're doing the show right now, to get out and catch a bunch of Squirtle. I may have to trade for some later. But the other thing, because they're everywhere, I see at least 4 or so on my little radar showing that there are Pokemon about that I could be out catching. But nope, I'm here with you guys. But I did yesterday get to participate in an event, and the one that happened yesterday was the Articuno event, where for 3 hours, from noon to 3, they made every single gym in Pokemon Go into an Articuno raid. They also went and made it, instead of a level 5 raid, they took it to a level 4, so they put it at 29,000 CP essentially, so that you could do it with about 8 people pretty comfortably. That it didn't take much more than that to actually be able to beat the gym. And they put it on a 3-hour timer, so you could go through any of the gyms in that time to get it done. And they gave people 5 free raid passes for the day. And so, as well as, even if you were out of passes, you still got to do at least 5 in that time frame. So they did a lot of things to allow people to get together and raid, which was really cool. And for me, I've gotten involved with a couple of raid groups here in town. I have a friend group that's out on the west side of town that I get to hear things from, and then one that's a little more local to me at the mall down south that also get together. And I'm surprised to say, is a very large group, because when we set it up and started talking about the event starts at noon, so let's all get together at like 11:45 at the first gym on the south side or the north side, I guess, of the mall. When we showed up there, you could tell that that's where the raid group was, because there were easily like 40 people standing outside of this Sprint store. I'm like, I don't think they have an event going on. Pretty sure this is all Pokemon. And I know everybody, I say Pokemon wrong when I'm playing around like that. But
Pokemans.
Yep. And so showed up there, actually took La Campette out with me, because I recently got her to finally choose the proper team, so she's now Team Valor, whether she wants to admit it or not, so that she could come play with all of us. But we went there, and by the time the raid started, there were at least 60 of us out there. And I had heard some stories of other parks and places where people got together and seen over like 100 people all raiding together at the same time, which is great. Yes, and as Copy's putting them out, all the Pikachu that have come through are wearing like a very... I don't know if they are all female. I haven't looked at their tails, if they're actually female or they're just wearing a female outfit with the hat the way it is. But I'd have to go back and look at that again. But yes, Copy, that is why I played some of this music and I'm listening to it. So did that. I actually ended up with, I want to say, 5 Articunos yesterday, legendary birds from the raids. So I was very happy with that. I think I missed 3 of the raids I was actually a part of. And so that was really cool. And then I also recently just finished my first and the only available special research task. So if you have your field task that you can do, and then they have a special task which they have like 8 levels of going through and doing all these different things for how many Pokemon you have to get, how many raids you have to be in gyms. Specific, like one of the harder ones is get 10 ghost type, depending on where you're at, because they don't always spawn, and things like that. And I finally finished the full 8 quest, which opens up and ends with an encounter where you get to go and capture Mew. Which is really cool, because the whole point is you're trying to figure out these other Pokemon that are being seen, and the main one that you're chasing is Mew. And so I was able to get that, and it was funny because I was a little surprised by it at first, mostly because when it finished, it put me back into AR mode for catching, where it uses your camera. And I have that shut off, so I just use the base default thing, so you can always throw in the same way. Because when you do the AR, it's kind of neat because you see your Pokemon out in the world, but it's a real pain in the butt to actually catch them, especially when you're trying to throw curveballs at certain distances. So most people I know, when you're really trying, shut that off. And
plus it drains your battery even more than
it's another device on, another thing that's warming up and killing your phone. As we learned, since we were running around in 90-degree weather all day yesterday, most people's phones, actually the bigger challenge was not battery, but overheating. People's phones all overheating and like shutting down because we're using our GPS and the graphics running on it and the CPU on it running it, everything. And so it's just like, yikes. And so, yeah, that. But I finished the raids, did that, I finished my thing, and I was able to capture Mew, which was really cool. It was actually kind of a fun experience doing that and finishing out. So now I'm really desperately waiting for them to add a new special series of things to accomplish, because I thought that was a lot of fun. For today's event,
That's
like I
cool.
said, the Squirtle thing, and I don't know the details of what allows it, but part of what you can get is Squirtle Squad Squirtles today, ones that have the sunglasses as well. And that's kind of the big thing people are finding, and I've seen people post that they've been catching some of them. I've been at home, so I don't know. I was hoping when I went for my run this morning, because I did take and play Pokemon along the way and hatch a couple eggs, that I was really hoping it would kick in through that. And so I don't know. I heard rumor that it could be done through the eggs, but like I said, I haven't seen something official. And so it was a matter of starting eggs during the thing, but I thought it was only 10k eggs, and I have none of those. So I don't know. I may not get Squirtles from this, and I'm a little sad for that. But otherwise, it's been a lot of fun playing some Pokemon Go.
Sorry, back to the augmented reality thing. I just had a flashback to. I remember I thought the camera thing was really cool when I first got it, and back then I used to get the bus to work.
Oh, yeah.
I remember playing with catching a Pokemon with the AR thing on. And I realized the people around me didn't see that I was playing Pokemon. They just saw me with my camera out on a
looking
bus,
around and
looking like a total creeper. And so I had quickly turned that off for that reason as well, because you don't want to be the guy who's just sitting in public with the camera on his phone for some reason.
Oh, I'm just totally looking at this old person right here. Hey.
Oh yeah. I'm just taking photos of this random child somewhere on the bus because that's normal.
Yep.
Or I'm trying to catch the Pikachu next.
So no, I understand. And for me, like I said, it's mostly about catching, but there is that aspect too of why are you wandering around with your phone up in front of your face? It's one thing when everybody sees you wandering around looking down at your phone, but when you're actually using your phone to look around the world, it makes it a little more like, what are you doing?
So, I think everybody looks down at their phone now. That's
well, they say down at the phone's normal. That's normal. The difference between seeing someone buried in their phone and somebody who's looking around with their phone, which is what is he doing, right? So.
Yeah, what's that creep doing over there?
Oh gosh, no. I've had looks before because I've gone to some parks where they had 3 or 4 stops and a gym.
Yeah,
and there's a bunch of kids playing, and I'm just okay, how do I wander through this where I'm just on the phone? So I'm paying attention to the phone, and just do a walkthrough where I don't stay too long, and I'm not looking towards or around any of the kids or anything like that. Because I've had where they're just looking at me what's this guy doing? It's so bizarre, but yeah. So.
Yeah, it's the kind of it's a good and bad thing with society, and I can't decide whether it's worthwhile or not. I mean, generally speaking, we shouldn't trust people walking around with cameras pointing at kids, right? That should set off some sort of danger, right? We should be a little wary of that, right? Because of all the people who are going to be pedophiles, it's going to be people who are pointing cameras at kids, right?
And yet, not being a photographer, there's also those moments where I've had pictures of kids with 4th of July and little flags and stuff. And I'm that's flipping adorable.
Yeah,
but I do understand.
But yeah, then on the other side, just being a man in public alone near children does not mean that every single one of us is a pedophile.
Yes.
Could you not? Please,
well, so and this is one of those sad things that's unfortunately true. But as Copy said, I did that. Nobody cared. Gender differences.
Yeah.
One of those things that people don't want to be truthful about, but. Guys walking around alone in a park full of kids compared to a girl, very different opinions, whether people believe it or not. A lot of people genuinely believe that women cannot be pedophiles, right? So unless they're school teachers at a certain point, but never mind. That's a whole different issue. Anyhow, so yeah, it's but and I do the same thing. It doesn't matter. I wear my Pokemon shirts when I go out playing. It doesn't matter. It's still gonna happen.
That is a good idea, though. Actually, that might dissuade people from. Then again,
if
they know a very well thought out pedophile, right?
Makes it worse, yeah. But anyhow, regardless, let's see. So those are what happened with Pokemon Go. There's a lot of events coming up, and if you're still playing, it's a ton of fun. And now with trades and some of the other things they put in the game, I've been having a good time with it. Wanted to do an update touch on 3D printing. I printed out what I hope to be the final version of the Cosplay guard for the sword I've been working on. It's got some of the Z-axis issues that I have on my printer where there's a little bit of wobble. You can see the lines in it vertically. But I smoothed out the model in Mesh Mixer, made it a lot prettier, and at the same time lighter than my last one by doing different infill. And so I think this is the one that's going to be the actual part that I end up giving out. So I'm pretty happy with it. I need to finish cleaning up the edges for it. I added some prongs and stuff in the front to be able to put the sword pieces in. And I'm currently printing the sword blade, and so we'll see how that comes out. So I think I'm basically done with this, or as close as it can be, because I also have, boom, where it'll go together onto the actual handle. So kind of a preview of how the whole thing will line up. that I modeled myself, and I'm very excited about that. But beyond that, I've also been trying to print out a bunch of other things, and one of the challenges I've run into is still going and getting jacked up with so Akko just noted saying got a shiny Squirtle sitting in the living room.
Oh, lucky for some. But as in you're calling him a butt, or but as in a conjunction?
Yes.
Okay. Not that you're mad or anything.
No, just a level of like, I've been right here and seeing the same Pokemon and I haven't got a shiny. No, it's because it still randoms up between everybody. Even if you see the same one, when you actually jump into it, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a shiny for you. But let's see, because on shinies, I try to tell people chat at the same time, it's random on shinies. All right, so, but beyond that, with the 3D printing side, I need to thing it out. I may have mentioned before that I'm so frustrated because I'm still trying to get through this filament I had bought from Market Center from Inland brand, INLAND. That used to be the go-to for all of us because you get it for about $15 a spool for a kilogram. And then they changed production on it because they were so popular, and it's gone to pot. It's complete crap now, to the point where nobody seems to be able to print with it, and they've just been bitching left and right saying...
I can't believe they're still selling that crap then.
Well, they made a large set of them, and then it's just nobody's had any luck with it. And so they have shelves full of it, to the point where I went online and I saw them selling it for as low as like $12 a spool. In some cases, just to get rid of it. But I don't know who's going to buy it because, everyone who started reviewing the new stuff, because the old stuff, everyone's like 5 stars, this is great, it's the cheapest, and it prints consistently. Then after like February, everyone was like 1 star, this stuff's garbage, what'd you guys do? And so we're just stuck. Excuse me. And so I've had these 3 spools I ended up with, and I was trying to print again with them, and it's so frustrating in that I don't know if it's inconsistencies in like the blend, but it'll go through a full base layer and up about a couple millimeters into the print and then clog. Like, at this point, there shouldn't be any more back pressure. It should be fine, and yet it seems like it just keeps hitting itself with so much back pressure that it dies. And
how much have you got left until you're done with it?
Oh, I'm not going to be able to finish printing with it. I still have like 2.5 kilograms of it because I can never print anything. I have a bunch of other spools of stuff I keep using, but I just kept trying to say, okay, here's a very simple print. Let me see if I got settings that'll work for it. Let me try to actually use it. And then it fails again, and I have to fight with my hot end to clean it all out. And I'm just wanting to throw things to the wall. I want to find whoever made that decision and beat them. It's so messed up. Well, no, because it was a go-to. I was spending so much money on their stuff, and I mean, unless they were losing money on it, they are now, self-defined.
You can't return that stuff either, then.
I don't know, and I didn't try. Might have been able to, but I haven't tried. And it's just more of a frustration to have stock that I can't use in my house.
Yeah,
I may end up only using it for my handheld to do like welding and stuff with it, but it's just so frustrating. And Kuro's sitting there saying that there's another brand out there, a Ziltech filament, that he can get for about $11 a spool, which is really good to hear. And I will need to like check that out and actually mess around with other brands because I'm constantly looking. I went back to just to make sure I had some stuff to print some of these ones I'm working on now, some Hatchbox off of Amazon, which is about 22-ish a spool, because it's at least fairly consistent. They've been a good brand to go to no matter what. I'm constantly trying other brands. I picked up some eSun that I've had some issue with, some of their... So it's funny, as I figured that was you, Pusa. Hey.
Hey, Pusa.
And it's a frustration when it comes to printing that you have something that was working and then just doesn't, and nobody really saying anything openly about it. So big PO'd at Inland, always looking for better filament, and I started actually getting onto the Reddit for 3D printing to start trying to look through stuff and see people talk about stuff and share some ideas, because I'm going to get more and more into it. I love 3D printing. As I try to look for gifts and stuff to give out to people around for birthdays and stuff coming up that I can print, because that would be fun. But yeah, so just kind of throwing that out there, as well as I think I'd mentioned last week about my pre-order for the quad from M3D that I'm actually looking forward to. And so, yeah, all of that. And then what else is there? The final thing is I have been streaming, and I'm not sure if people have been watching a whole lot of, I've been playing more of Majora's Mask, Zelda.
Oh, nice.
And so I'm trying to get through it all. I have this whole goal of trying to get through and play all these various Zelda games, although I'm going to skip out on, I think, several of the mobile ones, from the DS and those kind of ones. But there's some that look like they might be worthwhile. I think A Link Between Worlds is one that I still might go to because I was reading. I also have gone through and done some series on YouTube, and there was one that was made back in 2013 about kind of the stories behind, and I need to go back and find what that group is. And I got a lot of the lore coming from there, as well as I recently picked up a Zelda encyclopedia that I had pre-ordered off Amazon a while back. And so between all these resources, I keep hearing how rich the lore is and the storyline behind it. I'm finally starting to put things in order. Since I never played them all, I played the original Zelda and the second one really on my own. And I didn't really connect all the storylines between. And so now after the fact, reading them all, it's pretty interesting. And so as I'm trying to get through it, I'm trying to finish up Majora's Mask, which actually lore-wise is like the least important game, lore. Because it's kind of its own side thing completely.
It's like an alternate universe type thing, or
ish. It's Link is trying to run away to hide. What is it? The Triforce piece, I think it is. It's either that or one of the swords or something. I forget what he's trying to hide at that point that he's taking away after Ocarina of Time, and he basically gets waylaid by a Skull Kid, knocking him out and stealing from him, taking his horse and all his stuff. And then the whole quest is just to basically stop Skull Kid from destroying the world by pulling the moon in, and then coming back, and when it all finishes, you're like back where you were, and continue off, Link, go hide things. And theoretically, depending on which path you go down of the various histories, that's the end of that storyline of Link, and he just disappears. You never hear from him again in that timeline, depending on which of the various trees you're in. If you're on the child Link, or adult Link, or whichever path. It's the you lost, you won, and you continued links that they have. So the 3 different timelines. And so it's interesting. So we'll see. And so I'm really looking forward to, like, the one I'm most looking forward to right now is Twilight Princess. Because of the way the storyline is in that one and the characters and stuff, that one to me is the most compelling from what little bits I've heard that I actually want to play through. Because there's some other ones that talk about, like, the very first in chronologically in Zelda, which is one of the DS games or one of the handheld games. Okay, now I will admit, Copy, one of the things about the timelines and which one you're in is that the one I was listening to did not go as far as Breath of the Wild. And it only went to, because it was 2013, it only went to, I forget which one was just coming out afterwards, and they did a little follow-up one. Because the same group, and I really should credit them, did one that their first one was the storyline for Metal Gear Solid. And it's like the complete story. If you look it up on YouTube, look for the complete story of. And I start with Metal Gear Solid, which was crazy because all those games are in different orders and out of line and stuff like that. But when you watch, like, the way they put it all together, suddenly it makes tons of sense. And, like, oh, that's who that is and who that character is. And, oh, that's a clone, but it's this. And when it all gets together and you get it, it suddenly is like, oh, this is good. And so I do recommend people checking it out. But, yeah, it's called... The group that does it is Eligible Monster, is the YouTube channel. And like I said, it's been around since way back, and the one that I watched, they have a bunch of other things on there since then, a bunch of plays and stuff like that. But the one that I was watching for is The Complete Story. So you can look up The Complete Story of Metal Gear Solid or The Complete Story of The Legend of Zelda, and they do a really good series on it. And they caveat it a bunch saying that, like, this is from our perspective at this time, or this is from this piece. And so
it sounds very complex.
They put some work into this, and I was really thrilled to catch it because with that and with what I'm playing and with the encyclopedia all together, I'm starting to finally really catch what the story is in Zelda, and it is epic. And the people who have played these forever and have known it, they love Zelda and they know all these stories. And so for me, it's been a nice addition, right? Or just more to it. And so I've been really digging it, and it actually, watching The Complete Stories got me back to, I need to keep streaming this if I'm ever going to beat this game, kind of thing. So that's why I started playing again. I just got through what I'm calling the Water Temple in Majora's Mask. It's like Pirate Cove or something like that, but essentially it's a whole underwater thing. And so I'm enjoying it.
It's bad? I know that's historically very bad. So.
It's one that is a challenge for a lot of things. Now, admittedly, I'm going through the old ones with a guide just so I can have played it and gotten through and seen the story. I will, because I want to get to Breath of the Wild and just play Breath of the Wild. And I may, in the middle, like Twilight Princess, I may start to just play Twilight Princess and not go directly into the guide. We'll see. But anything leading up to those, I may guide it just to get through. And I've had people call me noob and hate me for it, but at the same time, it's allowed me to at least get to playing it and go through, which is nice. And it's funny because I was yesterday at a point where I'm doing all these in-between things on the guide where it's like, you can get all these other masks. And it's like, oh yeah, that's cool, I should do that. And then actually it was Copy's comment at the beginning of my stream that made me have to rethink it when she said, are you doing 100% playthrough? Are you trying to 100% the game? And I had to stop and say, no, that was never my goal. And then realizing that if I followed the guide the whole way, it's like, oh, but then I would be 100%ing the game, and that maybe I'm spending too much time here. And so I was going to just cut out all the other masks and go straight to the next story element. But someone joined my channel and actually subscribed to me while I was streaming yesterday, who was named after the quest line I'm about to begin that was going to be a side quest.
Oh, that's cool.
And so she was kind of like a little bit role-playing it. Like, oh, this quest, and I've talked to this person, this, that. And I was like, yeah, says Copy's bringing Anju. And I was like, but, if I skip, this is like an entire 3-day quest that I have to do all the timing I have to get right to get these masks. Or I could just skip those and finish this game. And then, but I was like, but if you're going to follow me and watch me play it, then maybe I should do it for the fan kind of thing, right? What do I do? And so I'm trying to decide still, like, how I should actually accomplish this, but so we'll see. I may do it. But yeah, so I definitely recommend check out Eligible Monsters channel if you want to get some of the story elements. I think theirs is really good. I know there's a bunch of other kind of lore ones that people talk about, but I've really enjoyed how they put it together, and they've done a couple different series. So I'd say go to theirs, check out the complete story of The Legend of Zelda, essentially. And I really enjoyed that. But like I said, that got me together and made me want to start streaming more. So that's basically what I have for my geek this week. And as you were talking about ARAM after, there's the other side that I have an hour after the show that I can still go catch Squirtles. And the squad here was talking about being able to run to the mall here and maybe do that for an hour. I might do that right after, and then we can play ARAMs after that. If anyone's still
I won't be around, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I know that would be late for you, but we'll see. That might be what I end up doing, because I swear I had something after the show today I was supposed to do, and I can't remember it, so...
It can't be that...
Right? Yikes. So, we'll see. So, telling them that, yes, I may be doing that right afterwards. And, yeah, the Anju and Cafe, which actually, if I do that quest line, and also I've been told that it leads to Breath of the Wild because there are two lovers and the story of them, and that in Breath of the Wild there's actually lovers' lakes, which are named after them. And so...
It sounds like you should just complete it 100%.
Nope. Because they're... so what got me off that is I thought I was on the path to, and I did something wrong and missed out on like one of the masks that I thought I had in the bag, and that just made me say, well, I don't want to redo all this. And so that got me back to the level of like... Nah.
I understand completely.
So that may be less down for it. We shall see. But anyhow... So, with that, though, I do want to kind of break us over to give us an opportunity to say...
Technology, news, and more, today on the Geekoscope.
To see if we have anything newsworthy to bring up to all of you. There have been little things popping up here and there. I don't think I grabbed one of them that I'd wanted to. But...
can I talk about something that's not geeky for a second? Again.
Okay. Throwback. What do you got?
I've been fascinated by this the Thailand story with the cave.
Oh,
and
the
bodies
kids that are
stuck there.
The team that's stuck in the cave in the underwater area and stuff like that. Yeah.
It's been so utterly fascinating, and they just finally managed to save 4 of the boys today. I'm glad to say.
Oh, that's good to hear.
They managed to get 4 out.
Admittedly, I hadn't been watching a lot other than I knew they had gotten somehow stuck in this cave, a whole group of these kids. That I don't know if it was like water came in or something flooded, that all of a sudden it was no longer accessible the way they had gotten there. That's the part I missed in the story. Was their soccer coach was taking them for a bicycle ride. Okay. And they went past this random cave and impromptu decided to go in and explore it, and they thought maybe some kind of initiation type thing, I heard. Fair. Okay. They went in quite deep, and then the water started coming behind them, and it was just like the rain season starting, and now the cave they went pretty deep into the cave system, and it's now thoroughly flooded. And so they're not at a position where the water is going to recede anytime soon. Not for the next 4 months, they expect. And the biggest problem isn't just the getting through the water, it's the fact that it's very sandy and sedimenty. So even the world's expert leading divers, one's died already trying to get there, right? Oh, wow. And he actually left them too much oxygen, which is why he died. He was trying to be overly helpful. He was trying to get back with less, and he failed. Oh. Gotcha.
Yeah. So absolute hero, right? He died trying to do what he could to help these kids. So it was looking really bad because they're running out of oxygen, they're running out of food, they have no understanding of diving, they have no expertise. Things are not looking good, to say the least. And so things were looking pretty shitty for them. However, they've managed to save 4 of them, apparently, for the article saying from BBC as of 1 hour ago, which is fantastic news because, to be honest, people have been saying it would be kinder to let them die because making them go through the torment of drowning and stuff, and that experience it can
I was gonna say that's one of those. If you have the opportunity to try to actually save people,
yeah,
I don't see why you wouldn't give it a shot.
The moral issue is have them die in a humane way, or high risk of them dying in a painful, horrible way, or low risk of them getting out safely.
I've always heard drowning is one of the less painful ways to go. That once it's in there, it's surprisingly relaxing.
I don't know.
But I mean, it's still anyway is scary. I guess asphyxiation being the easiest because all of a sudden you just kind of go to sleep and it just sucks.
But it's not just asphyxiation. Because of the sediment and the darkness, they wouldn't be able to see anything. They'd feel nothing. They'd be cold as well. It's freezing. It's a really horrible.
It's not necessarily they'd feel nothing, but yeah, there's just a whole bunch of how bad that would be. So I don't know. No good answer. I'm actually happy that they're trying to get them. I was more just unaware, and so thank you for informing me of how it came to be, how it first happened. Because I was like, well, if you got in, you should be able to get out. But yeah, that timing of just all the wrong times for water to come in. It was
poor timing, and to be honest, extreme negligence on the coach, right? What the hell are you taking those boys in that cave for?
Well, so it's hard to say because I've gone splunking a bit before, and it's just fun.
Did you go by yourself? Did you go as the adult in charge of a bunch of children?
So
being the adult, you should know better, right?
I've done combinations of things. I haven't done it as an adult with others. I've done it myself as a child, kind of thing, or young.
You're a kid.
And,
you don't know any better.
Well, I'm just saying, I can get in here, and I've done some things that are probably fairly dangerous. I think one of my favorite memes going around recently is kind of have you looked back at all the crazy stuff you did and wondered many times how you survived?
Yeah.
Kind of stuff. Because
all those Runsecape adventures, man.
I've had those moments out and about being a kid and doing things. So, yeah, I understand that. But I appreciate you letting me in. So, good luck to them. Hopefully, they'll get in. I know the world's kind of been watching as it goes through. Mm-hmm. So, that'll be interesting.
I just find it so interesting because, humanity is at a stage where we have space travel, deep sea excavations. We have, we're on the verge of making some crazy cool new technologies. Replicators, more or less, through 3D printing. The world is a crazy, interesting place, and so we're so powerful. We're more powerful than we've ever been with technology that is so science fiction 15 years ago. Just at our fingertips that we all have in our pockets now. It's insane what we can do. And then a bunch of kids got stuck in a cave, and now they might all die because we don't have any way to save them. Because it's just insane that something so simple.
Because nature finds a way. Nature's a bitch.
Kill everybody, yeah.
Nature doesn't care. And has forever found ways to get beyond our technology. Long run go, nature will always reclaim. So there's a humbling moment there for all the knowledge we have that you can't get past certain things. And just too bad. Now, and this will be a judgmental thing, and feel free to judge me harshly, but as Hando's coming in there, I think it was said the coach needs to go to prison.
Well,
this is one of those things that I am challenged by because,
it's certainly negligence. You can't. I don't think that can be.
Well, there's negligence, but there's also intent, right? Because it might have started out as a completely normal, fun thing that everybody was down for, but not being aware enough of the circumstances around it, thus causing what turned into a horrible thing. That's where I have issue. Or is that? There apparently were signs on the cave entrance saying "Danger, do not enter." That alone should be I'm an adult. I'm the one in charge of these kids. I should probably not. One, even if it is safe, I shouldn't take them past the sign that says "Do not enter" because that's setting a bad precedent for them in the future, right? Secondly, these signs are usually there for a good reason. Now, I didn't read that anywhere. I was told that they had a sign.
So I don't know if that's true or not. If anybody can deny it, please let us know, because I don't want to spread falsities. But
at the same time, I'll say, like, when I went to Hawaii with my buddy Dustin, and we went to an area that he grew up as a child in that overlooked these waterfalls and stuff like this. We went there, and there were fences everywhere and signs that said, "You can't go here." And he was like, "Bugger that! I grew up here. This is where we used to go swim as kids." And so we totally went past the fence and climbed down, and it was fine.
Yeah, but that's fine if it's yourself, right? Or you and a friend. Like, you're both adults making a decision. This is kids who should.
So, but I'm just saying the general circumstances of things as a whole. The reason I don't instantly go to throw everyone in prison is because I am still of the belief that, like, same thing, like, horrible things happen because truly accidents can occur. You can't protect everyone all the time from everything. Just as a general thought, now, and admittedly, he may have done enough negligence that absolutely he deserves some kind of punishment for this. I don't know enough to instantly go that route. And so I also like to throw out the deference, or at least that understanding that maybe it wasn't anybody's fault. Maybe it wasn't because it wasn't anyone doing something intentional. And so weigh the punishment according to all the circumstance. Because there's those things I say when parents do everything they can to be a good parent and yet a child dies. And the problem is society, people are so concerned about the lives of children and people dying that they want to punish someone for a horrible thing that happens because they want to be able to believe you can stop everything bad happening. And in doing so, I'm just saying
he could have stopped this, though. Like, it wouldn't have happened if he didn't make this decision, right? Like, that's the truth of it. And it was negligence on his part. He should have at least, like, got his phone out and Googled this cave, you know, or looked up, like, I don't know, the safety things with the council, or called the council saying, "I plan to take children into this cave. Is it safe to do so?" You know?
So, or you could just say, "Hey, that thing looks cool. You kids want to go there? Let's go." It's that,
and then people might die.
Basic level of, well, but this can happen anywhere and any time. Does everything in the world have to be mapped out in such a way that you have only things you're allowed to ever experience are the things that have been done before and thus made safe by someone else's, determination? Or can you try to just experience life in some ways, knowing that there are risks? I agree with you for the most part, but this is a cave system that is well known to be unsafe due to the reasons that are currently happening. Like, it's not as if this is an unknown thing, or the fact it's even generally safe. It is a very unsafe cave system, and it's known. And this guy intentionally went in there. That's where the negligence lies. It's not as if it's like an unknown cave system that may be dangerous and it's unknown to any humanity. And if that's the point, I would almost say, yeah, go and look around. That's fine, right? But the fact that it's well known, if we know that this thing is unsafe, it's like there's safety labels on the toaster, and the guy put a knife in it. It's like, you got electrocuted, it's your own fault, right? That's fine. But this is a bunch of kids that he's in charge of. They're aged regardless. There are people who cannot fully consent and are under the care of somebody else. We underestimate kids. I struggle with instantly trying to put him in a point of he must go to prison. That's what I'm saying. I would like to know more.
I'm not saying prison. I do think that there should be some. I think it should go through a court. I think it should be justice should be served by a court of his peers, right? Whatever that may be. I'm not saying they should be prison, because that's not my place or anybody's place to say other than the court. So looking at this article from the BBC, there's actually an infographic showing the cave system. So the cave system, it has an entrance at the base of this hill, and the cave goes deep underneath 1 kilometer of hill above it, and then there's sort of dirt sediment between that as well. Inside of the cave system is a very wide entrance, and then it quickly narrows. So from the entrance, the first chamber you go into is chamber 3, which is where the divers are operating from. Going through there, you need to have full climbing gear to get down the cave system. Somehow safely, I suppose, or maybe to do with the fact that it's all wet and slippery now. There are 4 areas between there flooded. There's an area where there's some areas along the way where you cannot bring scuba tanks because it's too narrow, right? So the kids must have went past some really dangerous areas anyway without the rain. There's a 30-meter dive where, again, there are parts too narrow to wear scuba tanks, and it's not fully mapped out. So that's why it's dangerous. These guys are going through with places where they might get stuck to try and save these kids' lives. The group was then found beyond this sort of underwater area to get to. So it's not just a dive. It's a dive in a cave system that's really dark, lots of sediment. The visual quality is terrible. You need climbing gear to get through some of it, and some of it you can't even fit through. Like the water can get through, but the people can't, and there's multiple routes to go through this cave system. So it's a particularly dangerous cave system, right? But anyway, in the end, 4 people have been saved, and that's fantastic so far. Nobody can complain about that. So that means I think there's 8 kids and the coach still left behind. Now, the problem that I'm reading this from this article is that in the next few days, more rain is forecast, and it's going to be particularly dangerous for the boys because they might run out of air during that time.
Yikes.
So they're right now they're trying to refuel all the air tanks that they can to bring to the children for them to use, as well as for the divers to try and use to get them out. So that's another issue, is trying to get all the resources and stuff. They used a team of both international and local divers to help get these kids out so far. And I believe it was a team effort of 50 divers to get them, which shows how extensive this cave system must be. And
no, it's they got to be pretty big. I did always wonder, and it's me not knowing enough for it to be really relevant, but why they haven't, or if it was impossible for them to do something like moving in the scuba gear like you would have for deep sea, where you actually bring a recycling hoses in, basically where you can pump air in and pull bad air out. That if it's too complex to run that, since you can't bring tanks, but could you run? I don't know. That was just something that hit my mind, and at the same time, I know that I'm sure all those options were weighed, and people much smarter than me figured out that would not work. But that's just like the first place my mind went with, like, why couldn't you just do this? But I don't know.
Yeah.
And so, but no, it's good to hear that some have been saved, and hopefully the rest will get out safely. Because, yeah, that's something I've only lightly followed and been aware of. And so I freely admit that I've not been watching it with significance, other than just kind of tracking what's happening. So. Yeah,
I just think it's a huge thing. I think it's just so interesting, and I'm glad to see that we're coming together as a nation to try and help solve this.
There are still some things that I think we can all agree on. So this is good. But
Indeed.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So let's see. We have in here. Looking at it looks like Pusa is saying that Elon Musk had also sent some of his experts over to try to help, which is good to hear, because I tend to like a lot of the things he's doing. Real quick gaming news that I wanted to bring up as we're getting towards the end of the show here today. One is, and this is something that kind of came out of the blue for me on my messaging.
Oh, you're roboting for me now suddenly.
Let me do the thing and see if it helps. Hopefully, restarting the audio engine might help for you, but if not, we're almost done, and so hopefully, as long as it's not roboting out to the world.
There goes, fixed it. There we go.
So, this came to me all of a sudden, which is news that from Anime News Network, that they are working on a game, or sorry, not a game, an anime for a game, which is, oddly enough, for the game Ingress.
Cool.
And it says the official website for Ingress, anime based on Niantic's AR game, revealed that the show's main cast, story, and key visuals. It got announced on Sunday. The site also revealed that the show will stream worldwide on Netflix. Anime will also air on Fuji TV starting in October. And let's see what else on that. But basically, it's one that I was kind of surprised that I'm curious what an Ingress anime is going to be like. What's the story? Because it was fun, because that was as an AR game, had actually a surprising amount of story behind it. And so I find it really neat that they're doing that. Just as something where I was like, out of the radar for me completely that they were going to make an anime based on that game. So I thought
I would not have expected that either. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, so I'm curious to watch that, and we'll see as it mixes several of my loves together. And then also a quick one, and this one was more for a Hando in the audience, because I have not played and don't know what it's like, but I figure he may have. And that is an article from theegg.net that says War Thunder's Fiery Ball, free-for-all football with tanks, is now available at no cost at all. And so it says that Gaijin Entertainment and War Thunder are inviting new and old players alike to join the vehicle combat game's newest limited-time in-game event, the Fiery Ball Football Competition. And it says, from today, all players can saddle up in their tanks and join the hunt for scores on the battlefield extraordinaire, where only tactics, skill, and teamwork decide the winning side. It says that teams consist of 3 or 4 in squad v squad mode, players who kick off in specially designed tanks that are fast, maneuverable, and packed a serious punch. But different from those you'd expect in a War Thunder battle, upon firing the weapon, the tank lashes forward in a powerful sprint, much like football players lunging for the perfect shot. Players can use this ability to pass the ball to a teammate, try to score a goal, and tackle their opponents. Let's see. So yeah, basically soccer or football for the rest of the world in War Thunder with tanks. And so it's one of those I have not played, had not seen, but I thought it looked fun. So I wanted to pass
Rocket
that on.
League very much.
As that's kind of what came to mind is like they're doing a limited edition Rocket League with tanks.
Yeah.
So fun times. All right, sir. We have time probably for a story from you if you have anything newsworthy that you want to bring up before we have to wrap things up.
I have 4 things. Maybe I might manage 2 because I've got a couple of short ones. Okay, so I don't know if this is still the case, but for now, anyway, I'm trying to see if there's a date here. There's no date in the whole article. It's annoying. This is from IGN. The first 13 episodes of Dragon Ball Super are available for free on the Microsoft Store right now. So if you want to watch, the next 2 days is still free. So the first 13 episodes of Dragon Ball Super on the Microsoft Store for free is free right now for the next 2 days. Go check.
Nice.
I just realized this one article I picked up is only for the UK, so I'm not going to bother reading it. Okay. Guild Wars 2 writers fired after Twitter dispute with streamer.
Interesting.
So writers Jessica Price and Peter Fries were let go by developer ArenaNet after a contentious Twitter exchange with a partnered YouTuber on Thursday. This is from IGN. It began Tuesday when Price tweeted out a thread that expanded on a recent Reddit EMA regarding how to develop personable characters in an MMO. She outlined the difficulty in crafting a unique character, which is also supposed to act as a cipher for a multitude of diverse players. That's a really good point, actually. The dirty secret is I'm not sure if it's possible to make an MMO character compelling because people have different expectations of what a character will be as opposed to a pre-designed character in a single-player game. The thread caught the eye of Guild Wars 2 YouTuber DeRoyer, I don't know, a streamer involved in content creation with ArenaNet under the developer's partnership program. But instead, players were given the option to meaningfully express their character through the branch and dialogue options, which aren't just on the checklist for an achievement that forces you through all dialogue options. Gerard responded to Price. Then perhaps players will be more invested in the role-playing aspects of the particular MMORPG. So in other words, he's saying that their achievement system is a bit crappy, and it forces you to try every option in chat, which makes it very fun, I imagine. Price responded on Wednesday saying, "Thanks for trying to tell me what we do internally, my dude. Like the next rando asshat who attempts to explain the concept of branch and dialogue to me as if, having worked in the game narrative for an effing decade, I have never heard of it, is getting insta-blocked." So, wow.
Oh, that's a harsh response.
Yeah, it is. She then retweeted his initial response with the comment, "Today in being a female game dev, allow me, a person who does not work with you, to explain how you do your job." I think the problem isn't anything to do with gender here.
No, I didn't hear
she's the one that's making it gender
related. Yeah, that's the problem I have.
I think the problem is that he's saying that the game is not fun for me for these reasons, by the way, in a response to her AMA. And she assumed that because the AMA was about her job, that he was talking about her role in the company and trying to tell her what she does.
I was going to say...
I think that's clearly obviously not the case. I think he's just complaining about how the game has been developed.
Well, it sounded like if I mistook it, I don't know. Gosh, we're going to run out of time on this one. It sounded like she was commenting that it's really hard to do this thing in a game, like to make, because it's an MMO, to make compelling characters. And it sounded like, unless I get this backwards, that he was actually saying, "No, I think you can. And here's some ideas I have on it." Regardless, her response, and maybe she had been worked up on some other things that were going on, other comments and stuff going back and forth, right? I can understand that. You can get tired of hearing the same kind of arguments over and over again. But it absolutely sounded like that was a not directed at in an evil way towards her kind of thing, and yet her response seemed very strong against him. And it did have that feeling, right, of someone claiming mansplaining kind of thing, argument or something, where, wait, just because I'm a guy and you're a female, I can't have a valid opinion on something because it's instantly I'm going against your gender? What? Right? There's that.
Yeah, I mean, I think what she's kind of hinting at is that he is mansplaining, right? But I think that the issue is that she's almost being unnecessarily not vulnerable. What's the word I'm looking for?
Defensive, just instantly defensive.
I suppose defensive.
Well, but in
she's being overly defensive because she's assuming that she's being attacked for her gender.
Yeah, for something more.
All she's done now is stop herself from being a female game dev. She's actually gone against this sort of like good point of feminism, in my opinion, that is, encouraging more women to join in professions that we need more people in general. Yeah, absolutely, right?
It's a problem. Yeah, it's what we're gonna. It's a problem when, and again, I'm only hearing these comments direct, and maybe this wasn't the intent behind it, so maybe we are overanalyzing this, but it sure feels like, just from that little bit of an exchange, and call us out if you feel we're wrong, that she took it to a level that is, I don't know, as though she didn't have, or is so concerned or so used to getting attacked that it maybe has a thinner skin for that kind of thing. I'm trying to say this in like the nicest way.
That's a good way of thinking of it, yeah.
That, well, I've run into this where, you may not have the best defense against something because you keep getting hit with the same thing or something near it, or you don't have enough time to rebuild after and something. And so it can suddenly get to a point where you're like, the littler thing can put you over edge where otherwise never would it have. And so I could see that, but it's just, this is so hard to really get a good answer on, other than it feels like she overreacted and therefore she lost her job.
In the end, like, regardless of any gender issues, even if she was completely correct, and even if she isn't, it doesn't really matter, to be honest, in terms of employment, right? Because as far as the company is concerned, she and this other employee, I'm assuming, was taking part in this somehow, represent the company. They didn't ask me anything on Reddit representing the company as employees for the company, right? And then when she's on Twitter talking about that, she's also speaking as a representative of the company. So if she starts screaming about effing asshats, regardless of any of the points of the conversation, right? That is uncouth and unnecessary and unfair, and unlike any employee that an employer would want. And so they got let off because they made the company look bad, regardless of gender issues. And to be honest, if she took that and was more eloquent in her response, wasn't so derisive, she probably could have made a very good point, and actually kept her position as a game dev in this company and continued to boost the numbers of women in the industry. Yeah, just instead she's done the opposite.
Anyhow, so that's good to know. All right, it is time for us to end, and this is a topic that I'm sure we could go down, and because of that, feel free to email in, and you can agree, you can disagree, or bring up points that maybe we're missing, or if there's more to the story than we haven't seen. Email in to showx@vtwproductions.com, or bring something up on the Reddit thread, because we also could just dig into it there, and that's something we'll check each week and can come back to work through as well. Because I am curious to know what you guys think about all of this. And I appreciate that it looks like, what was that? Pusa, looks like you had emailed into the show?
We'll probably pick that up next week, I think.
Yeah, that might be one that we'll have to grab next time, because we do need to end it. We got places to go, people to see. And so I do very much appreciate everybody jumping in and watching us today. Ken, could you show them, or tell them all where to find us?
Absolutely. You have been listening to ShowX on vtwproductions.com, but more likely on Twitch or YouTube. But you can find us all over the place on the internet. You can find us on twitter.com/DocDead for Mr. Wayne's personal Twitter, twitter.com/GoX for mine, twitter.com/VTWShowX for the show's official Twitter. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com, and search for ShowX. Find us, no problem there. And Versus the World Productions and VTW Gaming are all there on Facebook as well. Join our Twitch channel, something we don't really shout out, and I didn't actually know existed. Well, I knew existed, but terrified me until recently. Go join the server if you want any help in doing so. There's instructions, I believe, on the website. If not, ask in our Reddit, where Reddit's a very helpful offline place. Well, sorry, not offline, online, but forum-like. So go check that out, and you can do that by going to reddit.com/r/showx. And do talk there in general. It's always appreciated. You can also support us by going to patreon.com/showx and donating a minimum of $1 a month, which is, a fourth of a Costa or Starbucks coffee per month. So, every little helps.
Quarter a show, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we might even drink one coffee on a show, so you know.
Well, as well as one of the things that I am trying to get done, as we talked about the Twitch channel, is feel free to pimp us out, share us, auto-host us if you'd like. We very much appreciate it. Thank you, Tabaxian, for following us this show, because we want more people to be aware and to find us, and the easiest way to do that is for you guys to share it out with the people you know. Once we get up to, one of our goals is at least 50 people who have subscribed, and then us having to provide more than one show a week, but will allow us to do things like build custom VTW and ShowX emotes, which I do know all of you in our Twitch land love the emotes.
Emotes, indeed. All right, you have listened to showx.com. Thank you for listening, and we will see you all next week.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much. We are out of here.
Goodbye. See you next zombie.